Hello there. My name is Jaiye Bynoe. You're on the Jayman Show, which is on WBCA 102.9 FM, Boston's local community radio station. My guest today is Actor Michael Wynn from Set It Off and over in Fox. Hi, Michael. Good to see you on the show today. It's an honor to meet you, man.
Thanks, man. It's good to be here. We met on the road, and you
Yeah,
asked me to do it. I was
yeah.
excited to do it, so here I am.
Thank you. What's a blessing to have you, brother. Okay, so how did you get started? In the entertainment field as an actor, and how did you get the spot and set up? Because that was a wonderful play, and you did a great
Thanks, man.
job. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. I've been doing this for over 20 years. I started I started before high school. I did a
Oh,
show between 7th and 8th grade. I was actually a musician first, so I played a lot of music. I was a drummer. I was in a lot of bands. I did the marching band, and I was looking for a way to, hang out with my friends. And a
yeah.
lot of them, because musicians, were doing theater. So we started hanging out. They said, "Hey, come do this, come do that." I did a show. I was like, "Okay, it's all right." It wasn't my thing right off the bat. And then I got a little older, and I auditioned a couple times, and I said, we'll see how this goes." And then I landed my first decent role, and I was like, you know what? I think this might be for me. This
Yeah.
might be it. And I started digging deeper, and I was like, yeah, I love music. I'll always love music, as you can tell.
Yeah.
But acting and filmmaking are my number one passion, and they will always be my number one passion. So I've been doing it over 20 years. Back in 2018, I actually got a phone call from an old agent of mine, a very dear, sweet friend, Patty Gill. She's awesome. And she called me out of nowhere, and she said, "Hey, there's a tour that's looking for a guy to play this detective role. I thought of you. They'd love to talk to you." I said, "Great." We figured it out. I had the auditions that day. I was running a film festival that night. So I told them, I was like, "Look, I can be there at 3, but I got to leave by 4. I have things to do today." By 4:05, I was on the phone with them, and they were like, "We want you to join the tour." I said, "Well, when do rehearsal start?" They said, "Tomorrow." I said, "Oh, okay, well, here we go." And I've been blessed to do the show for 3 years.
Oh, that's wonderful because I mean, you got to meet some amazing people like Brat. I mean, it was just a wonderful cast, and I was like, wow, this guy is a
Oh, yeah.
wonderful actor, And like I said, yeah, and I also see that you're a musician because I'm a musician myself, and I love music too. And I've been doing it since I was a kid, so that's wonderful. And so, what inspired you to be an actor? What made you want to be, as well as a musician? What inspires you?
That's a great question, man. I think storytelling is one of the most important things in our lives, in our society. Is, tradition has always been put down verbally for the longest time. Before we knew how to read and write, we taught people orally and through stories and plays. And I think there's nothing like music will always touch my soul,
Hmm.
but it's a different type of feeling. If I can connect with you on a raw emotional level, and I can bring you into a world that helps you to escape your troubles or see things in a new light, I have more, I don't want to use the word influence, but there's more ways to actually help for me through acting and through film. I can actually, create a story that sheds light on, mental health or the way people are treated or bullying. Like, I was bullied as a kid,
My God.
and I've dealt with mental health for a very long time. And my friend and I are producing a short film right now that deals with mental health in a new light. So I have a lot more outlets with this. Songs, I was never like the songwriter, I was never the vocalist. So there's only so much I could tell there. But
Hmm.
with this, I can tell anything. And I just love it. I love being able to connect with people like we did on the road. We were able to have a conversation, and it's led me to here, which is amazing. And now whoever's watching this, hopefully we can connect and we can continue the conversation.
Absolutely, I definitely agree about that. I'm sorry to hear that you're bullied as a kid, because that's not right. I know, because I was bullied too. I was spit at. It's people are still mean. It's crazy, especially adults. So I guess my question is, how did you overcome being bullied? I mean, how did you overcome that? I mean, because that's not wrong. I mean,
Overcome is not the right word. You can't overcome being bullied unless you stand up to the bully, right? And then even then, there's always a chance that someone's going to, especially in this cyber age we have now. It's so easy to comment on someone's thing or say something, a little remark here, a little snide remark there, and bully someone without even realizing it. It's not that I overcame bullying. I just surrounded myself with better people. You know, I made sure the people that I keep close to me are people that I trust and people that I know, and that we have that bond, and the street goes both ways. We both know we're never going to hurt each other. You know, like my closest friends are there for a reason. And I'm always going to have bullies. There's people in my life now that I'm sure either don't appreciate what I'm doing, or don't like what I'm doing, or maybe don't like the way I work, or don't like the fact that I have a mustache. I don't know, something that they're going to nitpick on. And I can't please everyone. You know, there's no way in this world that I'm always going to be able to say, without a doubt, 100%, I can make everyone happy. Everyone has their own ideals, their own images, their own upbringing, their own story. And we're not always going to mesh. And that's okay. It's not my job to do that. My job is to be who I am, be confident in who I am, help as many people as I can by being me, right? Instead of worrying about what other people are saying about me and trying to please everyone. Because when I do that, I can't tell my story. I can't use my true voice. It's too much of like, oh, are you okay? Oh, are you okay? Let me make sure I got all this working. And then I'm depleted. And that doesn't help anyone. You know, I love the analogy of when you're on the airplane, of putting your oxygen mask on first so you can help someone else. If I don't put my oxygen mask on and I'm constantly giving, and I'm not receiving or intaking, I'm going to burn out and there's going to be nothing left. I've been there before. So now I always make sure I'm okay, you know, take care of my mental health and my well-being, and then I can give as much as possible until I know I need to reset.
Oh, well, that's wonderful to hear. And that's wonderful advice that we all need to hear. I'm glad you're sharing on my show. I definitely appreciate it, you know. Yeah. So what advice do you want to give? Can you give actors that want to be an actor or musician like yourself? What advice can you give us?
Oh man, so much. First off, if at any point it just doesn't fuel you anymore, don't be afraid to walk away. You know, like so many people feel like they have to prove something in this industry, and they just resent it, and it's not making them happy. And honestly, it's okay to pursue something else. Find what makes you happy. Find what drives you. But if this is it, if acting or filmmaking or writing, directing, whatever, if you know, playing music or writing songs, if that's what fuels you, do it. Don't stop. Don't worry about what people are saying about you. Don't worry about, oh, I haven't auditioned, or I haven't booked, or, you know, I haven't released my CD. Keep working towards your goals. Set your goals, know what they are, and keep working towards them. And then when you reach them, set new ones. Reach higher, but keep going. And don't let anything anyone says bring you down, because it's easy. It's real easy in this industry for people to say, you know what, you're just not talented enough, or you know what, you don't have the look I need, or hey, you know what, I don't really like rock and roll, so you're out. Like I've gone to auditions where they'll line people up and just go, okay, you stay, everyone else can go, just based off your look.
Oh, wow.
You know, and it's happened more than once. And you have to be okay with that, because for the 900 no's you get that one yes, and it's all worth it. Right?
Yes.
And you have to be strong in who you are, know your character, stand true to yourself, and your talent will shine through. And that's a huge thing. Like I'm not young anymore, but I'm still going. Yeah. Because and honestly, I've done the work to get better, to get stronger, and to know what's in here more than what people say I should be. And this is actually now leading me to more and more bookings, more confidence in my writing, more of my own work, which is getting me more work, oddly enough. And it just starts to work that way. But you have to know who you are first.
I definitely agree. Did you also go to college as well?
I did. I went to Montclair State University in New Jersey, which most people have never heard of, but that's okay. It was an interesting time. I actually got accepted to NYU. I don't have a lot of regrets in life, and that might be the only one, was not going there. But I thought I was doing the right thing by saving money, going to state school in New Jersey. It's where I grew up. And I was just like, you know what? Let me just do this. Because I still wasn't sure. I wasn't 100% like, oh my God, this is what I want to do with my life. It was more like, I found this passion in high school. Let me pursue it and see what happens. After 2 years of state school, I was like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. And maybe I should have went to another school. And I had a long talk with Suzanne Trouth, who was my mentor at the college. And she was like, look, if you transfer anywhere, it's going to take you 2 more years anyway to get an associate's. You might as well finish out your bachelor's and have it. or you could transfer to another school and start over. All I wanted to do was work, right? For me, it wasn't so much the accreditation. It was is this what I want to do and how can I get better? So I finished out school, and then I just kept taking classes. I took a class with Anthony Grasso in New York on camera. He taught me a ton. Dwayne Boyd here in Atlanta, another great teacher. Todd Anthony Manigo, awesome dude, amazing scene instructor. Victor Love does Chubbuck. Like I've done Chubbuck, I've done Meisner with Rick Andoska right now. I did it in New York with Jim Brill. Like improv with Lisa Gardner, Jim Ligon. Like I just try to get as much as I can, and I grab where I can, and I find the teachers that I fit with, right, and that I can learn from. Because that's another thing. You'll find like people work with different structures. You know, people work with different techniques, and you have to find what works for you and what fuels you, and the teacher that actually can push you in the right direction. Anthony and I were old buddies. I took his class for many years. And there was a point where we started butting heads because I felt like he kept giving me the same type of role that I knew I could do. And he was like, yeah, but you're good at it. I was like, I'm here to learn. I'm here to grow. And we had this big blow up, and we had a meeting on our own, and we talked it out. He's like, look, you know, if you feel like you've outgrown it, maybe this isn't the class for you anymore. And that's okay. And for a teacher to say that, mad respect. You know, that's a huge thing for me. But what I also learned was, sometimes you just need to communicate what you need from the class. Same thing. I'm friends with Victor Love here, and he teaches Chubbuck, but he and I are peers. Like I've taught classes as well, and he looks at me on the same level. And I'm like, look, when I'm in class, man, just a student, I need you to push me. Don't be afraid, because I also teach. But you have to be able to have those relationships and cultivate them. That's super important in this business, is, you know, who you know and what you know and all that, but cultivating meaningful, strong relationships, I think, is the most important thing, because the industry can be so difficult and it can really get you down. So you have that team that just lifts you back up.
Yes, it's wonderful. Definitely wonderful to have a team that supports you. A wonderful support system. I definitely, because I also went to college as well. Well, for community college, I got my social degree in liberal arts, and I'm glad I did. So I'm thinking about going to get my bachelor's degree as well in media and film. So I think I definitely agree that having a college education will definitely take you a long way, and I'm glad you did that. I definitely agree. Yeah. So where do you see yourself a years from now? Still acting, producing films down the line?
Oh yeah. Look, if I have my way, I'm never going to retire from this business. I'm going to work until I'm 90, and then I'm going to take a day off, and the next thing you know, that's it. I'm done. But I don't ever want to stop doing this. I love this so much. In a year, you know, like I said, my buddy and I wrote this short film about mental health. We're working on producing that. We're hoping to shoot that in the next few months. I have another friend, my buddy John, John Macheski, if anyone's listening and knows him. He and I have written, I think we're up to 6 or 7 short films now. So we're starting to shoot one of those in January. Jeff Sprav and I have been working on a couple projects. My friend Starlet Hill, who's actually over in, I think she's in Korea right now teaching English. She's a writer who's amazing, and we're working on some projects. Pierce Lackey and I are working on a project with the both of them. And I'm writing my own. I have 2 feature film scripts that I've started working on and have conceptualized, and I'm starting to put on paper. So in a year, ideally, I'll have, 3 or 4 short films under my belt that I've written and directed, or co-written and directed, and I'll book however many TV shows and commercials and films, and hopefully a lot. I'm on set tomorrow morning, so let's just keep it going, But yeah, I just think stepping up and up and up and up every day is the way to go.
I definitely agree with that. I definitely feel you. So how did COVID affect you? Everything being shut down, did that affect you, your career?
Yeah. Oh man, COVID was it's a trip, man. This industry doesn't sleep. So it's a nonstop grind, and it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I, ran a business here for a long time, and then I left that and I did something else. And then I was making a film a week with this community here that does a weekly film challenge. I was doing 1 short film a week of my own, plus working on others. And I was just going. And then COVID hit, and we were on tour with Set It Off. We're actually in New Orleans. And it was about noon the day of the show, and we got a call, and it said cast meeting in the lobby. They told us, hey, there's no show tonight. COVID has put the shutdown on everything. You're going home tomorrow morning. Enjoy your night in New Orleans, and then we'll pick it up whenever we pick it up. No one knew. So it was interesting because I was out touring, I was writing, I was shooting, I was editing, and even while I was on tour, I was still shooting the challenge films and all that. So it was like back and forth like crazy, and then nothing. I had nothing to do. I had nowhere to go. I was just in my house, and I was like, okay, I went from 900 miles an hour to 0 miles an hour, and I didn't know what to do with myself. I was like, okay, I'm used to constantly moving, and now I can sit down. So the first week, I slept. I just caught up on sleep. I'm not gonna lie, like it felt so good. I was getting 9-10 hours a day. I was like, is this what it feels like when you're rested? My body feels okay, and I can move. And you don't think about the hours you put in because you enjoy what you're doing. And then all of a sudden, when you give your body that moment to relax, it's like, maybe I should take a bath or something, like soak my legs a little bit or whatnot. And then I spent a lot of the time focused on my own mental health, my own well-being. I did a lot of exercising. I actually lost about 35 pounds, which was great. I've gained a few of it back, unfortunately, but I'll lose it again. But I took the initiative to actually better myself instead of just sitting around and going, well, the world has stopped and we don't know what to do. It was like, no, hold on, there's things I can improve on. So I started taking martial arts lessons, and I started getting in shape, and I started writing more and honing those skills a little bit better. And then I started doing therapy sessions with my therapist. We kept going digitally for a while, and then I do a thing called kinesiology as well, which is like letting the body tell you its history and its story, and like adjusting accordingly. And I've been doing that every week for months, and I love it because I came out of COVID feeling way more grounded as a human, way more in touch with who I am, what my heart wants, and what my voice is. Yeah. And to me, that's so important for what I'm doing to begin with, that I'm glad I got that downtime, because I may have never gotten here without it. But it was also hard because I couldn't see my friends. And, I went from talking to 100 people a week, because you're working on so many projects and seeing so many people, and our weekly meetups were like 60 people for these film gatherings. And I went from all of that to, I'd get like a text here and there or a phone call once every 2 weeks, and because nobody knew what to do, and everyone was like worried about their family or just shutting down and whatnot. And it was like, oh, well, how important, if I'm worried about everyone else, how important am I to them? And then I had to set boundaries. I had to learn, like, okay, I've put too much of myself out there sometimes, and now I do need to take care of myself. And that was a huge, important lesson. And I'm not blaming anyone for anything. I'm not mad at anyone for not reaching out, because they're dealing with the pandemic too, and they've got to do what's best for them as well. Yes. So there's, when we came out of it, like, I'm still talking to old friends. There's no hard feelings. Everything's great. But I took the time to really better my situation and find ways to bring myself joy outside of this industry. So I took up photography. I bought a nice new camera. I got some big lenses. I've been shooting like crazy. And honestly, that brings me a lot of peace, because I can just kind of focus on the scenery. I do a lot of landscape and wildlife, and I can just go out and hike and stop and take photos and relax. And it connects me with the world and with nature and with energy. And it's very calming. So it's been a really great thing. As terrible as COVID has been for the world, I do feel like I came out of it a better person. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does to me, because I was like the same as you. And I was in school. Then I had to start doing classes on Zoom online. It was tough, It's still tough, trying to find a job, Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah. So wow. So I'm glad that things starting to get back to normal, and you're able to book more gigs, more plays. That's wonderful. Hopefully things will get better in time. Absolutely.
Keep going.
Yeah, okay, keep going. Yeah, okay. So what was like working with the Brat and these stars you met? Because I'm a big fan of the Brat. So what was like to work with these stars? Because because they were just wonderful performers.
Yeah. Brat's awesome.
Oh yeah.
I absolutely love the Brat. We connected in the first rehearsals back in 2018. It was interesting because I walked in, like I said, I got cast the day before rehearsals. So I didn't even know what I was walking into for the most part. I knew what the show was, and that was about it. I didn't know who was attached. I didn't know anything. And I walk in, and there's the Brat and Kyla Pratt, and Demetria McKinney, and LaToya Luckett. And I'm like, man, these are all powerhouse women. Like, these are phenomenal actresses and singers and vocalists and performers. And I was just like, oh, this is going to be awesome. But it was also like, well, they don't know anything about me either. So let's just feel it out, see how it goes. And I was very blessed. I was very lucky because they were all amazingly wonderful people as well. We all got along really well. Kyla became like my little sister. I would pick her up Starbucks on the way because it was by my house.
Oh, wow.
And she was like, oh, can you get me some in the morning? I was like, yeah, great, whatever. Demetria and I had heart-to-hearts along the tour the whole way. I had dinner with LaToya's family out in Houston, which was amazing. But Brat and I are, we've done it from the beginning. So we're I'd like to say we're friends. Yeah, she's super cool. She's great to work with. She gives so much, and it's amazing to me because she's a big celebrity rap star, all this. Yeah. She's got a reality show and everything, and she still gets nervous because she wants the performance to be good. And to me, that's so awesome to see, because a lot of people think nerves are such a bad thing. It's like, oh my God, I get so nervous, blah, blah, blah. But it's really that energy that wants to come out, and you can harness it and use it to like fuel you. And to see someone of that stature still getting those nerves and those butterflies and saying, oh man, how do you seem so calm? Because I would walk around backstage having fun, but like, it's in my nature. I also don't have as big a role in the show as the Brat. Like, she's Cleo, for Christ's sakes. It was one of those things where it's like, I get it. You're nervous and you want to do well, but look, we're all here together. We're a family of actors, right? And if something happens, we're going to be out there with you. We're going to pick it up. We're going to keep going. The audience isn't going to know, as long as we keep together and we stay together. And that's something we talked about early on in the process, and that really seemed to calm her down. And we've been great ever since. And I love working with her. I'd work with her again in a heartbeat. If she ever calls me for anything, I'm there. Like, she's like family to me. She's amazing.
Well, that's wonderful to hear, because like I said, I'm a big fan of the Brat and Kyla Pratt, it'd be a blessing just to meet them. Also wish I was hoping she'd come out after the show, but it's okay because I would love to have met her, Yeah.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Well, and the great thing is, everyone that's been like the 4 women across the board in every show and every run have all been phenomenal. Like, we recast a few people or 3 of the girls for the second tour, and then again for the third tour, and everyone that stepped in has been wonderful to work with, great human beings, and I've learned from each one of them. And the fun thing is, for me, because I'm working with different people, is they're going to bring something different than the other actors brought. So now I've got more to play with, so it just kept the performance even more alive. And I'm super lucky and super, super happy to have worked with all the women across the board, and just like couldn't ask for better co-stars and stars of the show, who are so warm and welcoming, and no pretension, no nothing. It's just like, hey, we're here to do a show. Let's do it. Let's have fun.
I definitely agree. It was definitely a blessed show. I was like, wow, it was just on and to see you guys perform. You did a great job. Yeah. My favorite part was when Brad came out in the car. I was like, wow.
Oh yeah. Everybody loves the car.
Yeah.
Especially when the hydraulics start going, and it's just like, choo, 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 choo. Yeah, the crowd goes nuts. And I get to see it firsthand every day, which is so cool, because I know it's coming, and I'm still like, man, that still looks cool. Like, every show, I'm like, that looks awesome. Yeah, I get it. I get why people go crazy.
Yeah.
They hate me until the end, so they can love the car.
In my opinion, you were great. I mean, I'm so glad that you gave the girl the money in India. Yeah, that was wonderful, like giving the girl the money. That really touched my heart.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a big moment in the show, and it's the main reason I love doing the show, is that redemption arc at the end of letting Stoney go, and the audience really is yelling at me and yelling at her to shoot me, and like, get through this and thinking I'm corrupt and whatnot, but the humanity wins. And I think that's the important message of the show is like, if we all just listen to each other and see where we're coming from, humanity can win. But we've got to support each other. We've got to be there for each other and grow and actually connect and learn from each other and just say, okay, well, instead of pushing each other down and putting each other in boxes where we might not fit, if we just help lift each other up and help each other and listen to each other and grow, society is a better place, you know, and people will learn and become better human beings.
Yes, I definitely agree. You know, we definitely need more humanity, especially now. We need more kindness, more. I definitely agree. You know, yeah. So what do you like to do? What do you like to do in your spare time when you're not acting or performing? What do you like to do for fun or travel?
Oh man, well, I love traveling. I've been to 41 states so far in the U.S.
Oh, wow.
I love road trips, love RVing, camping, hiking, all that outdoors kind of stuff. Love going up to the mountains. Photography, obviously. I love reading. I write a lot in my spare time, even though it's still work. Sometimes I'll just write like random, like little short stories that I never do anything with because it's just fun. I dabble in poetry that I'll connect to some of my photos. My cousin is a spoken word artist, and he's inspired me, so I've kind of started playing with some of that. And I'm a huge hockey fan. I absolutely love hockey. And I collect game worn hockey jerseys and I trade them and stuff with other people. So it's like, almost like trading baseball cards, but for adults and much more expensive.
Yeah.
But I love doing it. So it's something that brings me a lot of joy. So I do that in my spare time. And a lot of times I just like, just the other night, I went out with 3 of my closest friends and we'll meet and get dinner and just talk about life. Wow. And for me, that's one of my favorite things to do is have a great conversation because it reminds you of how important the little things can be and how important your relationships are. Like whether I make it or not as an artist, at the end of the day, doesn't really matter because I've made these connections and I've made these friends and I'm living a life that I can be proud of. Right. So the proving of, oh, I need to make $5 million a year and show, you know, all my haters that I can do this or show the people who doubted that I have the talent or whatever. That's not important to me anymore. That might have been important when I was 22, but I'm not, you know, I've grown and now what's important is like a quality of life, right? And the experiences. I don't collect as much stuff as I used to. I don't buy as much stuff. You know, I've still got a few things. I love my books. I love to read. But most of my stuff, like, and I've got my record collection down here, but that's about it. That's about all I really spend anything on, and that's rare. Like I need to find something I really want if I'm going to buy it. Now it's about the experience. Like I'd rather spend money and go somewhere, go on a trip, you know, travel to a city I've never been to before, eat at a restaurant I've never been at before, than collect more and more stuff, right? Because stuff, whatever, when I'm gone, okay, I can't play this in the afterlife, you know? I can't play this now, let's be honest. But, you know, I can't take it with me. So, but the memories for me will always live on. And that connection, that human connection, if I can pass something to someone else and that can get passed to the next person and people can grow and learn and just evolve and become better, then that's everything I could ever wish for, you know? So would I love to be a famous actor? Yeah, because with more money and with more notoriety, I can reach more people. Yeah, it's not that I want to be rich because I want to own a lot of stuff. I don't need a private jet. I want to do it so that I can then get the word out about things and shine light on certain things or help people that are impoverished, or like if there's, you know, I grew up in New Jersey and there was the big fire in Seaside. There was the Sandy Heights thing. There was, you know, so many little tragedies in a short time that I was like, man, I wish there was more I could do. And if I had that kind of income, if I had that kind of notoriety, I could help more. And that's the main reason I do this, is to help. It's not because I want fame and fortune.
Well, that's wonderful to hear, because I'm the same way. I want to help people, you know, I want to showcase people's talent on my show. Yeah, so we can all make it together. I definitely have respect you for that. We need more men like yourself, definitely, you know, step up, you know. I salute you. Yeah, so are you working on any more music, you know? I mean, do you maybe make an album coming out? Or?
Man, so my best friend Pete lives in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
He's the man.
Okay.
He's my guitarist all day. This is actually his guitar.
Oh, cool.
When we played together back in Jersey, he has a new one, obviously, so he gave me that as a present. And we've been talking a little bit. He's like, he's married, he's got a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, I feel like I still got some music in me.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I don't know if I can do the van life anymore and the little tours and all that. He goes, I feel I want to write something again. He goes, and I want to write it with you. So I just got an electric drum kit from a buddy of mine in New York, and I'm going to dust that thing off and maybe start playing around again because it's been a minute, and then see what we can put together. But there's nothing definitely in the works, but I won't say it won't happen.
Okay. Oh yeah. Well, I definitely look forward to hearing some music from you someday. I think we all love to hear that. Yeah. Okay. So what do you think we can do to make the world better or change the world in your opinion? I mean,
wow, so many things. What can we do to make the world better?
yeah.
Listen to each other. You know what? Just listen. It starts there. Instead of, there's so many people that they don't fully listen. They just wait for their turn to speak,
Mm-hmm.
or they wait to say, oh, I can relate to that. Here's my story about it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not really helping anymore. There's I don't remember if it was a Calvin and Hobbes comic. There was a comic strip that was just so good where one character was like really depressed, and the other one's like, well, do you want to talk about it? Do you want to do anything? And they're like, no. And they're like, what do you want? They're like, I don't know. And the other one just sat down and put its arm around it and was just there with him. And that's important, is to just be there for someone, right? And I think we're so, especially in this digital age, sorry, I keep bumping my computer.
No problem.
But with this digital age, we're so quickly attached to, oh, I got to like, oh, I got to comment on this, oh, I got to do that, that we're not really, we might be connected digitally, but we're not really connected as people anymore, right? And we need to take the time to listen to, like, if you have something that's bothering you, for me to sit and listen to it and then try to see it from your perspective rather than through my lenses, because I'm gonna, my upbringing and your upbringing are gonna be different. So you might tell me something and I'm immediately gonna put it into my situation and say, oh, well, this is how you handle it. That's not gonna work for you because we're not the same person. So it's a matter of taking the time to be more, not sympathetic. I can't think of the right word right now, but it's to really listen fully and then understand from the other person's perspective what is happening and see if there's a way to fix it. And if not, that's okay. But I think as humans as well, we need to understand it's okay to not have the answers, right? To feel emotion, especially as men, because we're taught, no, men don't cry. We got to be the man's man. We got to be the provider. Like, it's a new age. That doesn't really fly anymore.
Yeah, no.
We need to be able to get in touch with the truth inside of us and be able to feel and express and learn the words to express our emotions. And then we really need to be able to sit with them and be okay and look at them and say, okay, I'll be very honest, I used to have a lot of anger issues, right? I'm a Irish background, German background. I felt slighted a lot when I was younger. Like I said, I was bullied. So a lot of stuff boiled up over the years and I never really thought about it. And then over time, I saw that my fuse was getting shorter and shorter and shorter, and I was getting angrier about things. And it took years of a friend of mine talking with me and my therapist and the kinesiology for me to step back when I get angry or depressed or frustrated or whatever, to step back and say, hold on, is this emotion mine? Does it belong to me, or is it someone else's that I'm picking up on? If it is mine, where is it coming from and why? And then what can I do about it? And to be constructive with it rather than destructive to myself, right? I think that, if that answers your question, is the biggest thing is the listening, the communicating, and then the ability to, like, really hear yourself.
Yes.
I think that's going to create the most positive change we can, because if we can come together as a humanity and truly listen to each other and see what people need and wants and see the struggles of other men, we can help. We can grow a society that can become a little more equalized and normalized, rather than this disparity of you know,
Mhm.
we're not a left-right society. You know, we're not Democrat, Republican, or whatever you want to be. We're up down. You
Mhm.
have rich and you have poor,
Mhm.
and the gap's getting bigger, and that's not helping anyone. But no one wants to hear that.
Yes.
Everyone has an agenda, right? And the rich people want to stay rich, and I get it.
Yeah.
It solves a lot of problems for you. Get it.
Yeah.
But you gotta at some point look at the rest of humanity and say, oh, we have an issue.
Mhm.
We could fix this.
Yeah.
But you know, one step at a time, right?
One step at a time is all you can do. One step at a time. Yep, I definitely agree. So what is like for you to get? What is like for you to get into character? Get into a character. I mean, how do you prepare for role in a character? Like, because that character you played, detective, was wonderful. I mean, was it sort of hard to get into character? I mean, to yell, get angry. I mean, is it? I mean, is it real hard to be to get into another person?
Yeah, it depends. Some are easier than others.
Hmm.
You know, if it's something that resonates with me real easy, it's easier to slip into.
Hmm.
I understood very well where this character was coming from.
Hmm.
I was familiar with the movie. I understand what the story is trying to say. Um, so for me, Strode was actually one of the easier ones to kind of slip
Oh.
into, but it was also the hardest to. Uh, I couldn't do it off stage.
Hmm.
I could only do it when I step out there. Like if back in the wings and whatnot, if I stayed in that character, it was too much. It was too dark for me.
Oh.
Right. So it had to be like, it's almost like a light switch. I had to have that moment, know what I was fighting for, go out and do it. Some characters are harder
Hmm.
because they're not me. You know, they're not as easy to connect with. Strode's humanity was there.
Hmm.
So it was easy to connect and then work backwards into why he was less than and then work towards the humanity. Some are tough, man. Some, you know, I played some really bad dudes, and I'm a nice guy.
Hmm.
I'm a good guy, and it's fun to play the villain for me, but it's also a challenge because it's very much not who I am.
Hmm.
So I do a lot of research. When I get the scripts, I break them down. I look at what I want through the whole story, and then what I want in each scene from the characters, and then I find things to fight for every time. And that's a big Chubbuck method thing, is finding that fight, that need to get from someone else. And it's not a need of like, oh, I need you to shut up or I need you to go away, because I could just walk away or make you quiet. Like that's
Hmm.
not a real need, but it's like a need of a change in you. I have to fight to change you in some way, and I have to get that. And it's everything you do has to be like life or death, right? They say this all the time: life or death. It's got to be important. It's got to have weight to it, and that's where the real emotion comes from.
Hmm.
And then sometimes, depending, like sometimes I'll use substitutions. Like I'll think of people from real life, or I'll put myself in a real situation, or I've been in a situation that I can pull from. Sometimes it's just the environment. Like I can sometimes put on clothes
Hmm.
and immediately feel different and feel a different way and know, okay, this is how this needs to go.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, each role depends, each character depends. Sometimes it's as easy as me reading the script twice and being like, oh, I got this.
Hmm.
Like this isn't like an easy one. Like especially for whatever, I get a lot of cop auditions.
Hmm.
Go figure. Um, it's the mustache, but I get a lot of auditions for officers, and those are getting easier because they're usually very straightforward. Most officers, especially smaller roles, are very to the point, and you know what you're looking for.
Yes.
The flip side was I was connected to this film a while back that my buddy was producing, and that officer was in a bad situation, but he had done nothing wrong. But the
Hmm.
emotion of it was really deep,
Hmm.
right? And it was this struggle of like, well, what would happen if I were really in that? Like, if I were accused of something that terrible,
Hmm.
and people really thought I had done something that terrible,
Hmm.
how would I really feel? And then it's like I had to dig in my memory banks and find something that I could connect to. And when I tell you, man, sometimes it hurts.
Yeah.
Like we have to bear our all and show our souls. And it takes a lot of strength to do that. And I commend any actor who tries and who, whether they succeed or not, because it's, and singers, anyone who steps on stage in front of an audience, comedians, whatever, when you bear yourself like that, you put yourself out there, it's so easy for people to throw things at you,
Hmm.
right? But we have to constantly do it. and constantly open ourselves. And it takes a lot of strength. And I think you get stronger by learning how to dig those characters out, knowing how you relate and how you don't. But going back to what I said earlier, knowing who you are inside.
Yes.
And if you have that strength of character, no matter what, like if I go out and play some, I don't know, terrible villain, murderous, whatever, I know that's not me. And I've read for some things where I'm like, this script makes me uncomfortable as a human, but I understand the role because it's either based off a real story or whatever. And even would set it off, like,
yeah,
I'm not seen as the good guy for a long time. It's important to know that you can separate yourselves from that, but also that it's a performance, right? And at the end of the day, if people don't hate me for that role, I'm not doing my job. But most people will also understand that's just a role.
Yes.
It's not how I personally feel. And the more I do interviews such as this, and the more I can get out and do, the press and all that stuff, they'll learn, oh, he's not a bad guy. He just plays bad guys. That's okay. But then there are people who are bad guys. And that's where I get worried.
Yeah.
But stepping into roles, that's fun for me, man. It's a lot of homework sometimes, but it's each one's a different, it's like a Rubik's Cube. Each one's its own puzzle.
Yeah. I definitely understand, I get it. Yeah. So my next question is, how did the how did you deal with racism? Racism, like the George Floyd, how did it affect you? Racism, because I saw it, because in the play, right now they kind of touch on racism, right, a little bit, So how do you?
A lot. I mean, it's very much implied in the show.
Yeah.
And the original script had more of it, but we took a lot out because we were like, look, the audience is going to immediately, when the white cop steps on stage in the middle of the show, they're just going to think, oh, white cop, got it, he's probably racist. We left one line in that kind of hinted at it, but there were some lines that were very blatant, and we were like, you know what, it's a little too much, it's not necessary.
Yeah.
We'll let the audience decide. For me, it's really upsetting. I mean, I grew up in white suburbia New Jersey. I don't hide that fact. But my parents are from the Bronx. My whole family's from the Bronx. I went to New York a lot as a kid. I was very lucky to be brought up around a lot of different cultures. I've been lucky to travel a lot in the States. I've traveled a little bit abroad. But I also, I lived in New York City for 7-8 years. I've lived in Atlanta now for over 7 years. To me, skin color is simply just a color. It's a pigment. It doesn't make a difference. Like, there's nothing that states because you look a certain way, you are less than anyone else. And it bothers me that people think that way, because if you track history, if you track human history, it is proven that we all come from one place, right? And then as we expanded and spread into, different parts of the globe, the further north and farther south from the equator you got, the fairer skin you got, because the sun wasn't as oppressive and all that. And it was just evolution that changed who we are. But at the bottom of it, we're all still human beings. And we have the same hearts, the same lungs, the same kidneys and livers and whatnot. We all have the same basic makeup, DNA structure. There's nothing that separates us from one to the next to the next. And when people start saying things like, oh, well, that person, their life doesn't count as much because they're a different shade than I am. I'm like, well, what happens if you get a tan then? Like, does that make you any less than me? If you get it, if my friends move to the South and get really tan, suddenly, are you different? No, you're still the same guy, right? So I don't understand it. I mean, I know where it comes from in history. I know where the oppression comes from. I know how it happened and why it happened. I just wish we could understand that it is history and it should be left behind us.
Yes.
And we need to realize once again that on this world, we are all human and we are all one being and one energy and one globe, and we should be helping each other.
Exactly.
Then pushing each other down because, oh, that person comes from Asia and they're different from me, so they don't get what I get.
Mm-hmm.
And this is coming from a white guy from suburbia,
Mm-hmm.
and I've seen firsthand, I've seen people with white privilege use white privilege.
Yes.
And it pisses me off
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want to handle it, right? And like even in this industry, coming back to the film and theater and stuff, there's been such a dynamic shift in culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot more parts for African Americans and Asians and Latinos and Hispanics, and it's actually getting harder to work as a white male.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. That's so cool to see, because finally, like, Hollywood was such a bastion of, there's so much whitewashing for so long.
Yeah.
Now it's starting to say, hey, wait a minute, like, we can diversify. We can still make great things with all these people from around the world. And yeah, it makes it harder for me to succeed, but it also gives me hope.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm seeing like the world actually grow.
Yes.
And if we can continue to do that and show like, okay, hey, we're not all different, like, and really pull people in, eventually, hopefully it all just fades away and we can all get along again. And I'm conjecturing that the world goes on for millions of years, but like, if we all start to intermingle and everything, we're all going to wind up looking the same anyway.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So like, why are we fighting?
Exactly.
So for me, racism is like, it's got to go.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree 100%. I definitely agree. It has to go back in the past. I definitely agree.
Yeah. We messed up. We made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Behind you.
Yeah.
Let it go. Let it go.
Let go. Move on. I definitely agree. Yes, I do agree. Yeah. So, would you ever consider running for president of the United States someday if the opportunity came by? I had to ask.
You know what? It's funny. My friends and I joke about that a lot, and I'm usually the one that says, "Oh, I'll run." And
Yeah.
honestly, I would.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I would. It would probably have to be some social media platform, and because I don't want to run red or blue. If there's a humanitarian party, it's
Mm-hmm.
probably me. I don't know a lot about politics.
Mm-hmm.
I won't deny that, but I know a lot about people.
Yeah.
And I think it would be interesting to see someone like me,
Mm-hmm.
maybe not me, but someone like me who grew up kind of middle class, in the trenches, like normal blue collar guy with a blue collar working family. Like, I'd love to see someone like that in that position, because they understand more of America than people who have millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
I'd also like to see some youth in the government.
Mm-hmm.
I think, our last election was the two oldest, whoever won was going to be the oldest president ever. They're in their 70s. Like, at a certain point, we need to get some young bloods in here and some fresh ideas. And for me personally, like, would I run? Yeah, I think it'd be great. I would love to do it. I would love to reach the masses. And even if I lost, I think it'd be an amazing experience.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd also know, like, okay, if I'm going to run, I need to surround myself with the right people,
Mm-hmm.
people who are smarter than me, who know different things about the world and about how economies work and all that, because that may not be my forte, but who can feed me the right information and get me up to speed, and then I can make the hard decisions, right? I think it'd be awesome. I'm down for it. If you want to support me, let's go. Yeah, I would do it, but it would take a lot of work, a lot of research. But I think the other thing a lot of people miss is change doesn't just come from electing a president.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I'm not a big political guy, but if you really want things to change, you got to vote local,
Mm-hmm.
because that's how it starts. Your mayor, your governor, town council, all that stuff. And then it goes up to, like, the Senate and the Congress and whatnot, and then eventually to the presidency. But a lot of the change starts small. It starts in your local districts and all that. And then as those evolve, everything else can follow suit. Putting someone at the top and expecting them to change everything below them,
Mm-hmm.
that's like replacing a CEO of Ford and saying, okay, make different cars. They're just going to make the same car.
Yeah.
Because it's already there. It's already working.
Mm-hmm.
And they're already in this position. They're like, well, now I'm making a bunch of money. What do I,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, heck yeah, I'd run for president. I'm in. Let's go.
like I said, I hope you do, because I'll definitely support you. And I'll vote for you. I think we can make some wonderful changes, because you kind of remind me of Obama. We need someone like, like Obama, like someone like yourself, because you're such a great speaker. I mean, you live this. You're an actor. You've done it all. So I think you can make some wonderful changes, and I'll definitely work for you and vote for you. So I hope you do.
I think there's a few actors that are probably ahead of me in line for the presidency, that have been doing this a little longer, have a little more financial backing, and are probably better at politics. But again, like I said, like maybe it takes someone like me who doesn't know that much to step in and go, oh, this country's all sorts of messed up. Let's see what we can fix.
Yes.
And if, James K. Polk is probably my favorite president. He did one term. He did everything he said he was going to do. And they said, well, I did it all. I'm out. Next. Like, that's the kind of thing I want to do. Is like, I'm going to go in, fix all these things, get where we need to go, and then let someone run it. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. Well, like I said, you're definitely my guy run for president, so I support you. And I think you've made some wonderful changes, Whether you want, or if you want to be an actor, that's fine too. But whatever you decide to do, I think you're definitely going to go far. You're blessed. And I think we can all make it together. Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I appreciate you coming. I definitely appreciate you coming on my show. And so what do you plan so hard? Is it Christmas, New Year? Any special plans?
Yeah, so I'm going to see my family, which is going to be awesome. My sister lives not too far from here. I have two beautiful nieces, so I get to spend Christmas with them. My parents are coming up. So that'll be really good. Whenever we get under one roof, there's always a bunch of shenanigans. We have a lot of fun. We usually play a bunch of stupid games. There's that pie face where like put the whipped cream on there. So we got my grandma or my mom, their grandma, to get hit in the face with whipped cream, which is everybody loves that.
Yeah.
It's so fun. We play like old games too, like Michigan Rummy, stuff like that. My younger niece is amazing at Mexican train dominoes. Like, I don't know how she does it. She's just like boom, 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 boom. She's like domino, and I'm like, what the heck just happened? We just started playing. Like, she's awesome. But we have a lot of fun. A lot of good conversation happens. Christmas Day is always a blast.
Yeah.
Usually either my dad or I used to dress up as Santa and just like show up. The girls are older now. They know Santa's not real, but we still have fun with it. Every once in a while, we'll just bust out the beard and the hat and whatnot. And my dad's heavier than I am, so he usually pulls it off a little better than I do. But so I'll be there for a few days. I have a friend from back home who's living or staying in Atlanta through the holidays, so we're gonna hang out, probably do some hiking over the holidays. New Year's plans aren't solidified yet. I have a couple of options, and I don't know where I'm going yet. A lot of it too depends on how much I'm working, because I'm still in that point where like I don't like to go out in big groups, because if I'm filming, I don't want to run the risk of catching something.
Yes.
And losing out on work. So that's the other tricky thing, is like a lot of my friends and I, we're working actors, we're booking.
Yes.
So we tend to keep our group tight and we hang out together. But if we go out somewhere, like we're all masked up or we're sitting outside, we have a friend who just did a play. He did a Christmas Carol, and he got us comp tickets, and we were all very excited. But it was also like, well, let's go in with our masks on, be safe, because both of us are filming this week. At least two of us were. And so we found this spot on the balcony where like there weren't a lot of people around us. Took the masks off, breathe a little bit. But it's that tough line, because in this industry, you're constantly getting tested, and I work behind the camera too. So like I'm tested all the time. Like I had 2 COVID tests just the other day, and I can't risk getting it and losing work. So I have to kind of pick and choose where I go and who I go with. So I've been spending most of my time with the same small group of people. But luckily, they're amazing people.
That's wonderful to hear. Is there any chance you might come to Boston sometime? Because that's where I'm at right now.
I love Boston.
Oh, really?
And I'm going to say this, and I don't know who's listening in Boston, and please don't hate me. My family, like I said, is from the Bronx. I am a Yankee fan.
Okay.
My uncle was the bat boy in 77, 78 when they won the series. So I had no choice. I grew up Yankees all the way. But I love the town of Boston. I love coming up there. I think it's a beautiful city. I've been there a handful of times. I'd love to come back when it's a little bit warmer out.
Yep.
I know it's cold right now.
Yep. So I'm
Uh,
trying.
but yeah, I actually miss the Northeast a lot, and I miss it mostly during the holidays when it's super cold.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so beautiful. Like
Yes.
in New York, when they do Bryant Park Up and they do the little pop-up shops and all that, nothing made me warmer in the cold than walking around New York City with the Christmas lights up and all that. And I've been up to Boston during the holidays and for St. Patrick's Day and whatnot. And that city knows how to live. I
Yeah.
love it out there. It's beautiful. I'm also a big beer fan, so that helps.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm hoping to come up there. I'm hoping I book some work up there. Who knows? Maybe I'll write something that we need to shoot in Boston. And I do a pretty good Southie accent, so you never know. It's possible.
That's good because that's where I'm at right now. So if you're gonna boss, I'll love to meet you again. You can come to the house, dinner. Meet my family. We'd love to have you. Always love
Cool.
to.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that hospitality.
Thank you. And yes, about like I said, I'm also a fan of the hot weather. So I'm not really a fan of Boston. I mean, it's okay, but I'm not a fan of the snow or cold. So I'm still trying.
Yeah. I love the snow. I just don't like cleaning it up.
Yeah.
And I don't like when it gets slushy.
Yes.
I like when it snows and it's pretty.
Yeah. So yeah, I hear you. And like I said, because we're supposed to get some snow tomorrow, so I'm not looking forward to it. And that's why I'm trying to, trying to move to Florida, California. Still in the winter time, not winter time, because I'm not a fan of winter. So
I hear you.
I love the heat. I love the hot weather myself. So I'm doing this right now, trying to get this just like you, so you can make something happen. So yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely. Well, this is.
Make it happen, man.
I'll be able to. I like you too. If you make it happen, because this is so blessed. This is blessed to have you on my show. I really enjoyed talking to you, meeting you. I learned so much just from talking, just from your interview. I learned so much from you and your wisdom. I mean, you really inspired me, to be, I had to hear this stuff. So well of doing, I really appreciate your time, and how can we support? Oh, and how can we support you? And how can we support you? And how can we follow you on social media?
Sure. So on Instagram, you can follow me at The Real Michael Finn. It's MichaelFinn, and real is like a real person, not like a real film. So at The Real Michael Finn. On Twitter, I think I'm just at Real Michael Finn because I couldn't do long enough to put The Real. So it's just Real Michael Finn. I'm not on Twitter a ton. Instagram's the best way to get me.
Okay.
But yeah, that's and then you can go to my website if you want to check out some of my work. It's just mfmichaelfinn.com. And you can connect with me on there. There's a email form if you want to reach out. There's a bunch of my short films are up on there. You can see my editing work, my DP work, my acting credits, all that stuff. My reels up there. So that's a good way to kind of get to know me as an artist. And then, yeah, I mean, keep an eye out. We're gonna, my buddy and I, like I said, we're working on this short film. We're really excited about it. It took us a long time to get it where we got it to, and it's grown a lot, and we're extremely proud of the work we've put into it. And we're very, very excited, beyond excited about producing this film because we think it's going to shed some new light on the way mental health is looked at. And that's always going to be a topic for me. And I love that about the world, that I can tell these stories. So that's going to be coming up, and we're looking to get a grant, fingers crossed. But if not, we'll probably have to do some crowdfunding and whatnot. So you may see me saying, hey, please spread the word for this. We're trying to raise X amount of dollars, because we don't want to do it. I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of people who are willing to help for nothing, but I don't like doing that.
Yeah.
Because I want everyone to feel valued. I want their time to feel valued, their expertise and their knowledge to have value, because anything you can barter for money is currency. So their time is currency for me. So I want to make sure they're compensated at least in an appropriate way. And a lot of the budget is there's 17 characters in this film, and then you need the director, which would probably be me, the DP, everyone on the production side, lighting, sound, grip, etc. That adds up fast, plus location. Like, I want to make sure people are getting their worth and knowing that they are valued, and not just, hey, let's just work for free because we enjoy it. Like, yeah, I'll do work for free if it's something I'm passionate about and someone I know, but I'm also not going to work for free all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want people to say, oh, well, this is the guy who always wants people to work for free. I want people who, when they step on my site, going, I feel valued, I feel respected, I feel like my time is honored. I'm never pushed beyond my limits. In fact, I'm usually pushed shorter than my limits so that I can rest, recoup, and come back full the next day. Because that's another big thing in filmmaking right now is the 14-hour days and the quick turnarounds and people getting burnt out. And I don't want to work like that. You know, I want people to come on set and be passionate and feel good and have energy and walk away going, wow, we did something awesome and I feel amazing about it.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than going, wow, we did something awesome and now I'm going to sleep for 2 days.
Yeah, that's. I think I definitely agree with you. We need more films that inspire people and make them feel good about themselves. I definitely agree, you know, because then that's what it's about now. So I definitely agree with you 100%. You know, and I'm definitely inspired by you. Definitely, you know. I mean, I hope you do one for president one day. Come my president, you know, because I just by us talking, I learned so much from you. It's like, wow, this guy is a man of God. It's like, you know, we need more people like yourself. You know, you definitely truly inspired me, you know, and I definitely want to stay in touch with you, you know. If you're going to Boston, please come. We can please hook up, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
I definitely consider one of my greatest friends, you know, and my inspiration. So it's just an honor to talk to Michael, and like I said, I mean, and hope you have a wonderful holiday, you know, enjoy your family, enjoy your time off, you know, definitely serve your guardian and serve your own. And I hope to stay in touch and hope you have. Oh, I look forward to everything you're doing, you know, and hopefully we can suddenly maybe we can be in a movie together, you know, be a blessing.
Yeah. Oh, hey, man, sounds good. Let's do it. Let's make some movies. Let's have some fun. Many blessings to you. Thank you for having me. This was great. I'm glad we connected and we met. And to anyone who's listening and to you and your family, obviously, happy holidays, happy new year, many blessings, much health, you know, especially during this time. Like, I just wish you all the best.
Thank you. Same to you and your family. Hopefully to hear from you soon, okay? And stay in touch. God bless you. We'll be in touch soon, okay? I definitely appreciate it.
Sounds good, man. All right, thank you.
Good night. Take care of yourself. Good to see you.
You too.
Take care.